I don't know if anybody has noticed because it doesn't seem like a ton of people have noticed this week, but you see the banner in the background. What's that? AFC North Talk every Tuesday and Thursday. You know what that is. And I think these two teams are playing this week. The Browns and Steelers. It's rivalry week. It's rivalry week, and for rivalry week, I always bring in a representative of that team to keep things fair. And you guys know who I'm going to bring in for the Steelers. Chisel Adonis. No, it's Tony.
Tony. Ouch. Poor Chisel. Adonis, listen, he's like all Steeler fans. I don't know how, like you, Quincy. I don't know how to feel about this week because you talked about it's rivalry week. It's Steelers Browns. It's supposed to be the biggest game. I mean, obviously all the trash talking that has happened in the offseason based on what happened in that wild card game just doesn't feel like this was supposed to be a huge game. And instead, I think we both come in feeling like,
man, we talking about Case Keenum. You talking about, Melvin Ingram wanted to be traded.
Yeah, Melvin Ingram wants to be traded now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Bengals
Does
fans
Mike Tomlin want to go to college
next week? There's a lot of stuff just not about the game that's going on when it comes to both of these teams.
Yeah,
going into it, but I do think there are some interesting things to look at when it comes to this game. This Steeler offensive line, I don't think they have played well throughout the beginning portion of this year. If you look at some of their passing numbers, it's kind of a similar story to last year where they're going to grade out better on the passing side than the run side. That's because Ben keeps the ball for like 2.5 seconds or 2.2 seconds is his pocket time right now. And, he's also not getting pressured in those 2.5 seconds, but like it would be really hard to get pressured in like less than 2 as fast as Ben gets the ball out there. So from somebody who watches it, is it worse than the numbers would appear it to be on the pass blocking side? And if you have to gauge which one is better, the pass or run blocking, which one would you go with?
No, I think the pass blocking has definitely been better than run blocking, but like you've talked about, it is a lot of that is due to the game planning and certainly the way that Ben Roethlisberger's been playing this year, much like it was last year where this is just a team that knows they need to get the ball out of Ben's hands quickly so that bad things don't happen. And they have a lot, this is still a team built around this kind of catch and run style of offense with guys like Deontay and Chase Claypool. And I know Juju's hurt now, but, he was a part of that as well. So I think the pass blocking has been better. It's not been great. You talked about nothing really grading out well for this offensive line. It's a brand new offensive line. It's very, very young. From a run blocking standpoint, boy, it started off really, really poorly. Those first really 3 games of the season were awful from a run blocking perspective. I think they've gotten better as this has gone on. That Seattle game didn't start well for them from a run blocking perspective, but I thought they got better in the second half of that game. I think that's been kind of a bright spot for this team is in the last couple weeks. They're I forget the number, 13th in EPA, I believe, in rushing over the past 3 weeks. So that's been something, you talk about this young offensive line. If you're a Steeler fan, you want to see them getting better week over week. I do think that they've done that. I think these last 3 games have been very different from the first 3 games that you saw. While you're right, this is not a good offensive line yet. It is a very young offensive line. And what you want to see out of a young offensive line is getting better week over week. I think they are doing that, even though if it is kind of a slow and steady pace so far.
Yeah, and I think we were talking a little bit before we got on here, kind of making fun of like nameless great faces and everything that goes into that. But for the offensive line, look, everybody else can be a nameless great face, but there's one guy in 95 that is definitely known to Steeler fans, known to Mike Tomlin made it clear this week in his press conferences. He's well aware of what Myles Garrett can do, and is doing right now. Myles Garrett probably playing some of the best football he has played in his career right now. He's at that peak there. Steelers offensive line, we talked about not necessarily playing well. What do you think the Tomlin's plan is going to be against Myles Garrett? And do you think any plan he could throw out there is going to be sufficient given the personnel you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Steelers pretty much always have had the same plan, whether it was Big Al back in the day or now it's going to be, whether it's Dan Moore or Chooks. I guess we'll see. I think there's an outside chance that Chooks plays on the left side this week and with Zach Banner coming back in on the right. But it'll probably be Dan Moore. But regardless, right? Regardless of who it is, Steelers always pretty much have the same plan, which is to help Chip over there, to help to give some protection over there, whether it's a tight end, whether it's a running back. There's going to be someone over there helping with Myles Garrett, pretty much wherever he is. I mean, it's the one guy you have to follow. And the Steelers are going to have the same game plan of getting rid of the ball quickly to limit their exposure to Myles Garrett. The one thing the Browns did really well last year wasn't necessarily getting to Ben Roethlisberger, pressuring Ben Roethlisberger. I thought they did a really good job, especially in that playoff game, getting their hands up. Knowing that Ben was going to get rid of the ball quickly getting their hands on the ball, tipping the ball. I think that led to 2 of the 4 interceptions that Ben threw in that wild card game. That I think is going to be as big a part of anything, right? Is making sure that the Steelers don't give up stupid turnovers in this game. So even if it's not Myles Garrett necessarily wreaking havoc on Ben directly with pressures and hits and sacks, boy, this guy's he's got a long reach, right? He's got long arms, and those arms don't have necessarily have to be about sacking Ben. If they're getting their hands on the ball, that's going to give this Browns defense, the opportunity for quick turnovers, and that's what really changed the tide in that game back in January.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it. And when I look at the Steelers offense too, it's the weirdest thing in the world to me because I think they're legitimate studs on this offense. Like I think Claypool is a stud. I think Deontay Johnson is a stud. I think, Najee Harris is going to turn out to be a stud. But it seems like, in the analogy I've been using, is like it's like having a Formula One race car in your garage, but you live in an area with only dirt roads, so you can't go but like 10 miles. Like it's one of those things where like you have nice pieces, you have pieces that can accelerate this offense to a high level, but you don't really have the infrastructure in place to trust that you can do those things without things kind of falling off the wheels. One of those things have been Ben Roethlisberger. We know that right now at this point in his career. We've known this since the offseason. Even the most Ben defending Steeler fan in the world would have told you, look, man, Ben can't go out there and get into these 50 pass attempt games again. That's going to read disaster. In the few games where the Steelers or Ben have looked completely cooked are those games where he has had a ton of passing attempts. Given that is not going to be what you want to do, but also given that the Browns' strength on this defense and their weakness is that secondary, their strength is that defensive line, their ability to kind of come up and play the run a little bit has been something that the Browns have been able to do at this early part in the year. If you're Mike Tomlin and the offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, how do you attack? Do you attack this Browns weakness, which is the deep ball, which is the secondary? But that knowing that also means that you're going to have to, probably give Ben extended attempts, which could lead to disaster at this point in his career? Or do you just go, I'm going to run the ball, I'm going to see what I could do there and not really take that risk on the other side?
Yeah, well, let's start with the first thing you said, because I wish I had the same confidence you do in some of the playmakers the Steelers have. I will agree with you on Deontay. You know me, I'm a huge Deontay guy. I've thought he was the most talented receiver the Steelers have.
Claypool train.
But Claypool, and again, of course, it's so easy to buy in after what he did in his rookie year. But man, I think he's taken a big step backwards this year. And I just don't like. You look over year jumps that receivers have made. He's made a year-over-year decline. I've talked about this ad nauseum on AFC North Talk. 50-50 balls are not 50-50 balls for him. They're like 40-60. I mean, for a guy as big as he is, he should be far more dominant than he is as an outside receiver. That's why if I was Matt Canada, I would move him to the slot, because I think, unfortunately, where he is, like, he needs to be lined up against linebackers and smaller corners. That's just those are the matchups he can win. Those kind of outside press corners, they eat him up, and they have pretty much all year. So I get what you're saying there. If I'm the Steelers going into this game plan wise, I think the thing I have to do offensively, first and foremost, is limit. You have to limit the turnovers. You have to limit your exposure to the opportunity for turnover. And that's where I think this does kind of play into the Browns' hands a little bit. Because as you talked about, the teams that can really, as we've seen this year, the teams that can exploit the Browns are teams that can kind of beat you on all three levels, right? The teams that are not afraid to beat you underneath, but not afraid to go to the middle of the field and then deep. Ben Roethlisberger right now at 39 years of age, he is not that guy anymore. He is not a guy who's going to beat you at all three levels. He has a very particular skill set, and it's one that's not really made to beat a defense with the holes that the Browns have. So yeah, I think in this game, I think the Steelers are going to have to go with what they always go with, which is short, quick passes, run after catch with Deontay, try to work Claypool in as you can, and then get a steady dose of Najee Harris going. And really try to win this game defensively. I mean, I think that's where I think that they're going to feel like they can have some success, because otherwise, and they saw this in that game in January. The turnovers killed them in that game. 4 turnovers very, very early killed them in that game. They can't continue to have that in this one. They can't give this Browns offense short fields, especially when we come in and we look at this Browns offense. And there's, I think, real concern about who's going to be out there, not only at the quarterback position, but some of those other spots as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think offensively, it has to be probably more conservative than you'd like, considering some of the holes in this Browns defense.
Yeah, and speaking of the offense there, I think that's an interesting matchup. Interesting thing I want to ask you as a Steeler fan and just since you have some knowledge of what Steeler fans are thinking in general, it's been interesting the conversation this week from Browns fans, but from Steeler fans. Is this a situation where they're gonna get excited if Case Keenum's out there, or if Baker's out there? Is it really like does who's playing quarterback for you guys really change what you think the outcome's going to be of this game?
I would rather Baker play, and this is just based on 20 years of watching the Steeler team make backup quarterbacks look like Joe Montana. I'm just tired of watching it. I know I want the starter out there. Give me the starter. Give me the guy that is not going to make the Steelers look like fools, because they've done this so many times in their they nearly lost to Geno Smith 2 weeks ago. So no, I want Baker out there. Yeah, I mean, Case Keenum, and I think Tomlin talked about this during his press conference, right? He was asked about the differences offensively between what the Steelers face in Baker Mayfield and what they face in Case Keenum. And he basically talked about like, there's really not a big schematic difference between the two. Obviously, the kinds of throws that the two of them are going to be able to make are going to be different. But I think he's right in saying that when you look at the Steelers defensively in this game, what they have to do, first and foremost, they got to shut the run down. And this team was it was open season on this run defense in that Seattle game in the second half. They cannot have that happen against Nick Chubb and this Cleveland Browns team, because it was bad against Seattle. It will be far, far worse in this game. So they got to start there. They got to shut this run down. But then because of that, does that expose some things behind them? They have to overcommit, because from a personnel perspective, it's not like the team that's going out there this Sunday for the Steelers defense is going to be any different than the team that faced Seattle 2 weeks ago. They just have to play better. I don't know if these guys are just going to automatically just, 2 weeks later, hey, guess what? We're much better run defenders today, which means they probably have to overcommit. And when you're overcommitting to the run game, what does that open you up to? Play action, Stefanski, Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum, doesn't matter, right? These guys are going to design up some really good play action plays, and it's going to test the discipline of this defense on the back end.
Yeah, that was my thing. I was like, look, I think one thing Brown's going to do is a ton. It's just like play action screens, just quick throws early, just to kind of tire out that pass rush. And then once they're tired, you can either run on them or you feel confident you can hold the ball deep. The Browns are getting healthy there. They're getting the whole offensive line back. So that might change the math on whether you put Baker Mayfield out there or not. But speaking of the Steelers' woes against the run, this is something that is a little bit surprising to me, just because of the resources that the Steelers have put into this linebacking position. You put a 10th pick, you trade up a 10th pick to get Devin Bush. I understand you ain't the team that signed Joe Schobert to that contract, but you traded for it. And you gave up more assets in the draft for Joe Schobert. You really made some investments here at linebacker. And you would think that with those investments that they would be better at stopping the run. Has this been something where those investments have just underperformed?
Not only that, but it's not only that the linebackers have underperformed, but they did, look, when you take a guy like Devin Bush, who's 5'11", 230, right? He's not a thumper. So you're not expecting him to go up and take on guards, right? It's not like a 300-pound guard coming through the hole and you're like, all right, Devin, take that kid on and then let's go, make the tackle, right? That's just not what you want him to do. So I think there's a couple factors here that play into the kind of the lack of playmaking that we've seen out of Devin Bush. Number one, Tyson Alualu getting hurt on the defensive line was a big thing, because Tyson Alualu, it was a rock in the middle of this defense. Stephon Tuitt not being able to be out there has led to some younger guys on the defensive line having to play. These guys just aren't good. They're not able to command the kind of double teams that you were seeing these guys from before. And that's meant that there's been kind of free guys coming in for Devin Bush. And the other thing that they're missing is Vince Williams, who's kind of a weird thing to talk about. I mean, Vince Williams at the end of his career, he retired just before the start of training camp, but he was the thumper. You talk about that linebacker who's the thumper. He was that guy. And so missing him has meant that, you talked about them bringing in Schobert. Schobert's a nice piece, but I think Schobert was brought in probably more for his pass defense than he was as a run defender. And I know he did not that he's good at either. That's why he was available for trade. You're not trading away a good linebacker.
I've had this battle with Browns fans for years, because they're still mad the Browns didn't extend Joe Schobert, and I'm just like, Joe Schobert, one of them dudes. When your team ain't that good, he's gonna look pretty good. But then when you put him on the defense with expectations, you're gonna start to realize why he was a pass rusher 3 years into his career.
See, I'm when it comes to Devin Bush, right? You're talking about Devin Bush there as the run defense. I'm less concerned about Devin Bush as a run defender. I'm more concerned about what he is as a pass defender. That, he was brought in to be the sideline to sideline playmaker, speedster. They can't keep him clean in the run defense, but then they take him off the field. I mean, dime defense. He's coming off the field right now for Robert Spillane. Boy, that's a rough look. I wonder how much Spillane plays in this game, because I think when you talk about the personnel aspects of this game, what could change defensively from the Steelers from a personnel perspective to make this run defense go. I think there's two guys to look at. Isaiah Loudermilk, a big body rookie out of Wisconsin on the defensive line. Really the only piece they didn't use against Seattle much. Look for him to play a little bit, 92 on the Steelers. And then look for 41, Spillane to potentially come in. I don't know if they'll necessarily take Devin Bush off the field in obvious running situations, but maybe they will, and maybe be a good thing to do for them right now because Spillane's certainly a much better, more physical, kind of that thumper type at the linebacker where Devin Bush is not that guy.
Another issue for the Steelers I can see coming for them is with specific cornerback or secondary matchups with some of these wide receivers. Jarvis Landry being back, that was huge for the Browns. It looks like he's going to play this week despite a little bit of a knee injury that he got at the end of last week's game. But Jarvis Landry, somebody who's really good at yak, somebody who's really hard to take down at the wide receiver position, going up against a secondary that has not tackled well. Specifically, I'm talking about Cameron Sutton, who hasn't been tackling well at all. He got like a 26% missed tackle percentage, which is that's abysmal. Not great. Yeah. So if I'm the Browns, honestly, and especially they got CJ Spillane out there knowing how the Steelers love to let their linebackers just kind of live out there in coverage. You know, you're going to live with the Jarvis Landry, CJ Spillane. You scored a touchdown off of that actually last year. Yeah. And then also, you know, you're going to really live with a matchup on Sutton and Landry because you feel like if Landry gets that ball in stride, he can make something happen with it. Yeah. Especially since they're not the greatest tacklers in the world. And Odell, look, I can't predict anything for Odell right now.
Is Odell playing?
Just hasn't caught the ball consistently. Yeah, he's going to play.
Oh, I'm excited. Good. He's very important. As I've said in the past, Odell Beckham, very, very important to that Browns team. Really love when he's out there. Him and Baker, especially, the connection they have, so special when it comes to that Browns offense.
Week they just get it together and throw 3 touchdowns. I hope this is the week.
Doubt it.
They get it together and just end all of this.
They get like 10 yards. Yeah, that's usually what they do.
It's like 50 and like 8 attempts.
No, but this secondary, look, it has not played well, and this was a big worry I had coming into the year. This and the inside linebackers in coverage. I just felt like, boy, this, look, they cut Steven Nelson. They let Mike Hilton go. They were going to replace everybody from within. Sutton, well, look, he has not been a great tackler. I think he's been decent on the outside, specifically just as a pure cover guy. I mean, a lot of that came in that game against Buffalo. But I don't think he's been like a massive disappointment. It's just whatever they're trying to do at nickel right now just is not working. And all the things that they're trying to move around, whether it be Mollett or Norwood, I think they just need to figure out what they want to do there. Norwood actually had a very, very good game against Seattle. And Mollett has been decent in those run situations, a good tackler. But the Steelers got to figure out what they want to do at this corner spot and just go with it. And then the other thing they got to figure out is what they want to do with Minka, because they keep, Minka used to be this kind of deep safety, don't throw my way type player. And I know that kind of got stale a little bit, and teams started to realize like, okay, we'll just don't throw Minka's way and we'll be fine. But now that they're moving Minka around and then they kind of, he's trying to be a playmaker where, he just needs to do his job, and it's leading to, talk about another bad tackler on this team. It's been Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, this secondary has been really strange to watch because they have the problems that I expected, which are some of these young guys not coming along. But boy, I did not expect the decline in play specifically from guys like Minka Fitzpatrick, and then Terrell Edmonds is another player who played really well last year, and this year not even close. I think there is kind of the expectation in Pittsburgh that secondary should get better because there are players we've seen play well in the past who are just having strange off years.
It's going to be interesting. It's been that kind of year for Pittsburgh. It's been an interesting kind of year so far for the Cleveland Browns. Browns hope to get back on track here. Steelers hope to get back on track. I don't know what the track was.
No, listen, let's not try to rewrite history here, Quincy. The Browns are coming off of, they're 1-2 in their last 3. The Steelers are 2-0. 2-0 coming this game. I would call the Steelers at this point, Quincy, red hot coming into this football game. A very dangerous 3-3 team. Could end. Cleveland fans, I hate to tell you this, the Steelers are going to end your season on Sunday. The Browns season is over. You're looking up. You're looking up at the Baltimore Ravens. You're looking up at the Cleveland Browns. But more importantly than that, you may be looking up at my Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens.
Hey,
See,
gotta get it in one last time, just in case. Just in case.
you know how I know things have been different? I haven't felt the urge to tell you about the wild card game at all during
Here we
this
go.
interview. I haven't done it.
You better.
Let it,
Quincy,
nah,
this may be the last time.
Nah, I mean, like, look, man, Case Keenum. Hey, look, if it's Case Keenum that beat you, Case Keenum beat you, and that's just gonna be something that you're gonna have to live with and explain to your kid one day. You know what I mean? That you lost a football game to your
as
rival.
I'm trying to explain to you, Case Keenum wouldn't even make the Mount Rushmore of bad quarterbacks this Steeler team has lost to in the past. So, but here's the thing. Look,
your fear is exactly
kumbaya.
my fear, because if Case Keenum goes out there and looks good versus the Steelers, oh my gosh. Hey, I'm gonna have to hear it all about that. Like, I'm gonna need Baker to throw 7 touchdowns versus the Bengals and win that game by 40 if that happens.
And you know what? At the end here, I know it's a rivalry, and obviously Browns fans want one more time to embarrass my Steelers, and Steeler fans would love nothing more than to send the Browns down to the bottom of this division. But let's kumbaya on this, Browns fans. Okay, let me hear you down in chat or down in the comments below this video. Let's agree on this, Browns fans. The Bengals are fake. The Bengals are fake this year. Let's call it out. Sure, they're 5-2. Are they going to be the 1 seed? Are they getting home field advantage in the playoffs? Are they winning the AFC North? Please. No. They'll be down here soon enough. You know, they're getting a little tour. They're getting a little tour of the top of the division, but it's just that they'll be home again here at the bottom.
See, Tony, this is one of those things where theoretically, on a logical level, I don't disagree with you. But I also hear you. I'm like, man, this is how I was talking about Lamar Jackson in 2019, and it did not end well for me. I was like, he can't stay this hot for the whole year. Like, they can't be this good.
Either Jamar Chase is the second coming of Randy Moss, or that offense is going to turn into a pumpkin again. And I just don't know. Here's the thing, Quincy. It's not a question of if they're turning into a pumpkin. It's just a question of when is midnight. I just don't know what time it is yet. What time is it? Okay, are we getting close? I feel like we're getting close. We're getting close to midnight.
I don't know. They got a couple games against the Lions. Like, I think they got.
Yeah, exactly.
They got some time here.
Sweet is it going to be? Like, honestly, no matter what happens between this game, if the Jets beat the Bengals, I'm going to probably be more excited about that than I would be about any result in this game. I'm going to be honest. I'm ready. I'm ready to watch. Listen, this Bengals thing has gone on for too long. I'm ready to watch. I'm ready to watch the fall.
They already hate me. I am not endorsing.
But I'm just trying to
like when somebody worked for a company and they're like, retweets don't equal endorsements. Like, I'm not endorsing anything that is going on right now.
Well, Browns fans, let me know in comments if you would like to endorse anything I've said on today's show.
I have learned, because last year it was the Steelers for me. In 2019, it was the Ravens. Look,
you were right about the Steelers last year. Hold on.
And right now, it's was Cliff Kingsbury undefeated right now. When I know he's not good, I know he's not good.
That one you're wrong on.
Everything I feel about the Cardinals is everything you feel about the Bengals right now. It is everything. It is the exact.
But the Cardinals are doing it the right way. The Bengals are just, oh, hey, what happened? Hey, quick, Joe, throw that quick 80-yard pass to Joe Burrow for a touch, or to Jamar Chase to get us out of this. Get us out of this hole. Cool. Thanks.
The fact that Cliff Kingsbury is about to win his most games in the season in the NFL is just proof that you just got to get lucky. Sometimes
he's going to do it in like 8 or 9 weeks. I mean, he's about to set his single season record here in a week or two.
Whenever somebody tells me all you got to do is work hard to get to I'm going to show him a picture of Cliff Kingsbury and be like, no, I fell forward. That's the thing, baby. Cliff Kingsbury's whole career. Look, he fell forward into Patrick Mahomes. He fell forward into Baker Mayfield. He fell forward into that job in Arizona. Just happened to avoid Josh Rosen and get Kyler Murray. Like, he has fell forward into a heist of the Texans.
What happens
for DeAndre Hopkins. Nah, man, I can't. I am done with these crusades over teams because it don't ever work out well for me. I'm just lucky enough that I picked the team that don't play in the conference that I care about. So I'm just saying, Tony, the more you hold on to this, the more the Bengals are going to win.
I'm never letting
go. If the Bengals win the division, I'm just going to let everybody know, look, man, I was the offseason hater. But Tony, that's who y'all got to y'all got to see right now.
It's actually Sonny. Listen, remember, Sonny, Sonny, I deflected.
No more. You don't have that.
Yeah, actually, Sonny's not doing well. All right. Anyway, let's get back to Steelers Browns here. One thing we should start talking about. This is probably the last time Ben Roethlisberger is going to play in Cleveland. This is it. This is the end.
Swan song.
This is it.
I mean, he's had a hell of a
and by the way,
career here.
The Browns have only beaten Ben in Cleveland once? The Brian Hoyer year?
Oh yeah, that was a blowout too. That was the year we lost Alex Mack in the middle of it. Yeah, I remember that season. That was the year the Browns were 7-3, and boy, I bet a lot of Steeler fans were saying the same thing about those Browns that you were saying about the Bengals. And the Browns ended that year 7-9.
And yeah, I'm not saying that the Bengals are going to go 5-12 or whatever it's going to be.
But the Browns finished in last place that year. Was that the last? What did the Bengals finish in that? 2014?
2014. No, the Bengals were good back in 2014. That might have been the year that the Ravens were like
6-10.
Yeah, that might have been the year the Ravens were bad.
Yeah, so I remember. I was like, I don't think we were in last place. That'd have been a hell of a dip. But
all I'm saying to last place.
All I have to say to your Bengals point is now Bengals fans, y'all expectations have changed. I don't want to hear if y'all go 9-8.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I don't want to hear it.
Again, and I'm not even saying the Bengals are necessarily a bad team, but I do think that they are going, like, their expectations today of winning the AFC North, drastically unrealistic. And if they do make the playoffs, maybe a little one and done for them. Although,
I mean, that's not.
We're talking about the Bengals, so it's not exactly a.
They've been going what it does since I was born. I don't know another thing.
Prediction, is it?
It's bad when the Browns break that streak before and after that streak has started. I remember the Browns have won a playoff game more recently than the Bengals, and it was like in 1994.
Two iterations of the Browns have won a playoff game in between the Bengals.
Both of them.
Yeah,
both of them.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts. It's a good time.
That's unfortunate, but
I'm glad, Quincy, that even on Rivalry Week we could reminisce on one topic we can both agree on, which is that the Bengals are fake good. And I'm glad that you're co-signing that.
I'm not co-signing.
I think you did. I think you did.
I did a co-sign. I'll
put you down for a solid maybe.
I can draw some parallels to certain situations. You know what I mean? But right now, they hot. They going right now. They think Joe Burrow. They told me Joe Burrow better than a former MVP Lamar Jackson. I you know what I mean? Yes, like they ready for that conversation. Even though Joe Burrow quietly top 5 interceptions. I'm just saying it's an interesting situation to keep your eye on, much like Justin Herbert last year, where look, the production's there. It just seems very volatile. But Tony,
indeed it does.
Thank you for coming on. Look, every time I've tried to talk about Browns Steelers, it's gotten derailed. I talked with another guy. That video is going to come out on Sunday. We ended up talking about Michigan and just roasting Michigan for 15 minutes. Like it's been one of those weeks. It's been one of those weeks.
Exactly.
So hopefully we're all getting through it. But Tony, thank you for coming on, talking a little Browns Steelers for us. And again, guys, you can catch Tony on his own YouTube channel, Steelers Country. Whenever he posts there, and it's usually a pretty good upload. And also, usually it's always a good upload. I don't want to slight you like that.
I've had a couple stinkers on there. It is what it is.
I mean, it's like Ben. You throw 40 up. Well, it's like Ben early in his career. You throw 40 up, you're gonna throw a couple interceptions.
Right. Every once in a while, you throw up a stinker.
Hey, every man has his Kyler Murray is better than Lamar Jackson take in 2019. Everybody has it. Everybody has one. Everybody has one that can be on the old take exposed. But he has good stuff there. Also, great stuff on AFC North Talk. We go live Tuesdays and Fridays. So make sure you're subscribed to that. Tony, I want to thank you for coming on here. Any last words that you want to do before you leave my comment section an absolute trifling mess?
Again, I just want to encourage your chat down there. Let's all just reminisce, even on a week like this, where yes, we all hate each other. Yes, I want my Steelers to embarrass your Browns. Absolutely can't wait. 100-0. I mean, again, the Steelers can't score enough points on Sunday, but regardless of that, let's use our powers together to cheer against the Cincinnati Bengals and reminisce on their demise.
All right. Well, we'll see if that happens. I'm not putting it in stone. We'll see.
And Quincy's right there with me, by the way. He's being a little shy about it tonight, but don't worry. Quincy is right there with me on all this.
I'm good, bro. I get them. They tweeting me now. We don't play till next week, man. I'm getting
know.
tweets right now. Like the game is like we both got different teams this week. I'm getting tweets from Bengal fans talking about some don't sleep on me. Don't be avoiding
I'm not getting
me.
enough tweets. I'm not getting enough tweets from Bengals fans. I need more. Let's go, Bengals
Bro,
fans.
I've gotten more tweets this week from Bengals fans than I've gotten from Steeler fans, and Steeler fans really hate me. Like, I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it'll even up if the Steelers win this game. But you know,
we'll be there.
Right
now,
now,
I'll lead the charge. I'll lead the charge. Unless the Jets beat the Bengals, in which case I'm going to get distracted.
This is terrible. This is terrible. We are poisonous on AFC North talk. We just wish poison on anybody who's doing Ace Boogie ain't felt good in 3 years.
I know. And then the one time it's like, hey, look, the Bengals look legit. Yeah.
And you out here like, I hope they lose to the Jets and realize they suck again.
Well,
that's what the AFC North is.
I mean, what can I do? I got hate in my heart. I got to let it out.
Every week is a rivalry week with Tony. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.